elections and political campaigning and things like that. But I'm just going to give you a, an introduction to it. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of technology surrounding deepfakes. Nothing like was given to you all back in October when Dr. Asafah provided you on the GANs, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. But I wanted you to have a little bit about the technology and then some categories and examples of deepfakes. I took this from some research that was done out of Cambridge and Harvard, which I think really codifies this whole concept, which I think you're going to be excited about. You probably want to read the paper. It's actually embedded in the slides. The slides, Bernie will be put out there, and so the students will be able to see my resources as well if you want to use these in something down the road. And then, of course, we are all about cybersecurity here, so we're going to talk about some cybersecurity concerns that revolve around deepfakes. Everything has to do around the technology and cyber, and there are people that are out there trying to use it to break in and steal. And then some discerning those deepfakes. How do you know it's a deepfake? Kind of like steganography. For some of my students who are on who had my digital forensics, I teach steganography. And how do you know that it's really a fake if you don't know the original? Well, I'm going to go through some of those little techniques to maybe help figure that out. And then, of course, there's governance and laws around deepfakes, and that might be one of the ways that we really can battle deepfakes is using some laws and governance. So that's where I'm headed to today on our talk. So seeing is believing, or is it? If those who've seen me before, you've already seen me, the picture on the left is me. The picture on the right is, I did it on a deepfake app. I could, it was the Face app, and it used GON technology, and it made me into that. I don't know if I like it or not. I don't think so. But anyway, what is deepfake? It's a conjunction, right? You didn't know this was going to be an English class along with a seminar. But deep, obviously meaning the AI or the machine learning that's involved with this, and then fake, meaning not real. So it's artificial intelligence that's fake. And the output is the term deepfake. It's really just artificial images and sounds that are put together with machine learning algorithms. It can create people who don't exist, or it can impose on real people, on other people, or in other positions, or in videos and things like that. It started back in late 2017. There was a Reddit user who I think was a little ticked off at Scarlett Johansson. And he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take her face and I'm going to put it on some porn star. And so that's how it all started back in 2017 in Reddit. You can go research that if you want to. And the bumper sticker under all this, under deepfake, is called synthetic media, because it is not real. It is put together. So traditionally, the better the quality of your deepfake would be if you had hundreds of pictures and minutes, tens of minutes of video that you could really make something look like it was really, truly somebody else, right? And that's the reason behind, political people and celebrities. They're the ones that were really targeted. First off, they are in the news. They are, popular, powerful, all those things. And they were the target. But there is also a lot of passive media out there on them. You can go and find, lots and lots of former President Trump video. You can find lots of pictures of Nicolas Cage or some of the others. And so that's the reason why they were really targeting the celebrities and the political personnel. However, I recently read Samsung they were doing some research, I think for some company in Russia, were able to then make a deep fake out of one photograph. So the technology is getting better. So what does that mean? It's going to be harder to discern, but they don't need hundreds and hundreds of, video or pictures and lots of minutes of video to make something fake. Which is kind of scary, because if anybody ever Googled themselves, I'm sure you all have. So you at least probably have one picture out there. I have quite a few. I'm like, oh, where's my deepfakes? So what are they actually made of? And this is where we get into the little bit of just the technology behind it. I'm going to talk about two different ways that I have studied on how deepfakes are made. The first one is that generative adversarial network, or a GAN. It's used for face generation, and it produces faces that otherwise do not exist. And how it does it, it uses two what's called neural networks. If you're into the AI, world, you've understood neural networks a little bit. They're basically a set of algorithms designed to recognize patterns. And so the first part of this is a network generates an image. So you see on the top right-hand side, you see the picture of the gal who has all the little points on her face. So it generates the image. And then the second part of the GON is it learns how to distinguish a fake from a real image. And so there you can take fake and real and put them together to make it look like what you want it to look like. That output is that algorithm that trains itself using the information generated from above to, make photos of a real person, or it can turn it into a video as well, because you could take photos and turn them into video. So that's one of the ways that deepfakes are made. The other way is using what's called encoding and decoding, an artificial intelligence algorithm it's used in face swapping and or face replacement technology. So the first part of it is you're just going to run through thousands of face shots of two people through an encoder and find similarities between the two. And then you're going to take that second algorithm and decode or retrieve the face image and swap them over. The end result, obviously, is you can have a person's real face. So you could have my face can be superimposed on another person's body. So you could put me on, Bernie's body if you wanted to. And you'll see a lot of little, funny, jabs at Nicolas Cage and different people. If you go online, you can see this, definitely this technology in action online. So who makes this kind of software and what's this software all about? Well, it's open source. So, open source, well, it's good, right? A lot of times. Python software that's out there. You have apps, Face Swap and Deepfakes Lab. There are a couple of them. The Face Swap is free, open source, multi-platform software. So you can go out and use it if you want to, when you want to. It runs on all the different operating systems that you're familiar with, Windows, Mac, and Linux. And the Deepfakes Lab is also an open source that enables face swapping. The Fake app, the one that I used Face app. Fake app was developed in 2018, and then Face app was developed shortly thereafter, and that easily, downloaded and used. When I downloaded it, I only did the 3-day trial, but it's like $3.99 or something like that, and so you can make your own if you want to. Looks a lot and smells a lot and sounds a lot like Photoshop, but a little bit different. Now this is the slide that I was really interested in, because when I read some research on it, because once again, this is not my background, except I was so interested in it because I'm like, the forensics piece of it, right? That I found this fantastic article or research paper that I was going to share. I'm just going to pull my notes so I get it right. It's behind the slides under the note pages. So for my students who take my classes, I try to put stuff in note pages. But it's called Regulating Deepfakes, the Legal and Ethical Considerations. And it's by a few different researchers out of, like I mentioned, Cambridge and Harvard. But they broke it down, I thought was fantastic, into 4 different categories. Easy to understand. Love categories, maybe because, I don't know, that's how my mind works. But the first category, as you can imagine, why it all started was with porn or revenge porn. It is definitely an intrusion or invasion of sexual privacy, but people can do it. I'm ticked off at you. You broke up with me. You went out with somebody else. You cheated on me. I'm going to put your picture on something that you do, and then I'm going to post it all over social media, right? Then, of course, you have the second, which is political campaigns. You really can't probably turn on the TV and not know, is that really fake? Or is that real? Or is that deep fake? Is that really the person that's saying that? It's gone to the point where for political campaigns and deepfakes, there was a country in East Africa, Gabon, that they launched into a cyber warfare or a warfare campaign because of deepfakes. And there is some governance surrounding this in political campaigns and things like that in the United States, which I'm going to talk about at the end, which I think is very important because, if you get caught with a deep fake as a political ad, you're going to be facing some trouble. So those are really 2 negative uses of it. But I wanted to, those who know me know that I'm very positive, and I love to put a positive on it because you know what? It wasn't developed probably by the powers that be for negative. It was developed for positive. And some of the positive things that it can be used for are the commercial uses. So that's the third category. There's a CySER, which is a technology that uses the digital voices of people who have lost their voices. So they can kind of get their voice back using deepfakes. So they have to, get some video or audio and things like that, but they can bring their voice back. And I think that's fantastic. And then you can do a significant cost and time savings if you can make artificial or synthetic videos in multiple languages. So the video that's embedded behind this one or behind this slide is with Beckham. I can't really give his first name, it just escaped me, but you'll see him in a minute. The soccer player. And he did a video, but he was able to do it in multiple languages, but they only had to do one take because they could then basically change it up using deepfake technology. And some of the other creative uses, Nicolas Cage and face swapping images, just fun stuff that's out there that's just supposed to be lighthearted and bring a little fun and levity to your lives. And then the other piece of it that I was researching, which I thought was fantastic, was you can have authors of books, you can bring them back to life. You could have Holocaust survivors. Maybe they don't really want to talk to anybody, but you could have them. I saw a video of a hologram, and then they had the Holocaust victim talking about what they experienced. So talk about some living history. I think it's some great creative uses for deepfakes. So, you know, I think that's one of the good things to look at with this technology. So let's see if we can get this to work. Let me know by hands if it goes. Let's see. David Beckham. Goodness gracious. Come take it. Can you hear that, Bernie? Good.
Malaria isn't just any disease. It's the deadliest disease there's ever been.
Se dice que ha matado más de la mitad de la población que ha existido.
بليون من 500 مريض
وما زالت تقتل طفلا كل دقيقتين.
Mais nous pouvons y mettre fin. Nous savons comment, nous en avons la possibilité.
हमें और अधिक कार्रवाई की जरूरत है.
我们需要让世界领导人关注。
Hivyo tunazindua kampeni ya sauti.
Omwele bawari upi malaria.
Speak up and say, malaria must die. One voice can be powerful, but all of our voices together, then they will have to listen. Malaria must die, so millions can live.
There you have it. Let's see if I can't get it where I can move it forward. Hold on. Page up, page down. This was the only way. I'm used to Zoom. I apologize. Nope, I don't want to play it again. Stop. Oop. I apologize for that. Turn it off. What are you seeing, Bernie? Oh, I can't hear you.
We still see the video, Dave.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, here. What do you see now? The video?
Still the video.
Okay. Oh, I apologize. That wasn't a cool transition. And I like cool transitions. Don't hold it against me. And there it goes. Again, I don't want there. We're going to stop presenting. I want to put it over to... Now you should be back, right?
Not quite yet.
Good?
Not yet.
What? My internet's fast. We're good?
We don't see the slide yet. I'm not sure if you're sharing your screen.
Oh, well, it said I was sharing. Come on, I don't need sound. I just need my PowerPoint.
There you go.
Now you're good.
Okay, okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so let's go talk about some examples of deepfakes, and then we'll finish up with discerning deepfakes and how it's tied to cybersecurity. But if there's a BuzzFeed video, I did not put it out there. It's got a lot of language in it, so I didn't want to put it out there for us professionals, but if you want to at another time, you can go see this one of President Obama making some outlandish and brazen statements. And so those are the kind of things that get you thinking, is that really him? Or, you know, things like that. And then the second one is Scarlett Johansson's face that was transposed onto a porn star back in 2017. The other one, which I already mentioned before, was the country of Gabon was being, you know, some problems with a military coup that was going to take over because of a deepfake video and things like that. So it's out there, it's real, and you can probably go find many, 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 many examples of deepfakes. And it really you start to question a lot of things. There is definitely a rise in deepfake volume. There is this Sentinel PDF. I have the PDF there. You can pull it down. They did some statistics on it, and it has grown considerably, like over 900% since 2019. The one thing is that the porn isn't not the most popular. It is non-pornographic deepfake videos, so political stuff, other areas. And if you see that Twitter and YouTube are the two biggest consumers of deepfake videos, that their content managers are just having to be all over that to, find out, is it really true? Is it not true? And you all know the controversy around that. I just wanted to show you the growth is considerable. The technology is getting better, those kinds of things. And as a cyber professional, you're going to have to think about this, whatever profession you go into. If you're going to be the Department of Defense, you think they're, that they're not going to get hit with deep fakes. They are talking about it all the time now. I can guarantee it. When I was doing my research, there was some stuff in the military that was talking about deep fakes. And how do you know? How do you know that we're not going to get a military coup where you'd have to go into military action over deep fake videos, right? So just go ahead when you get a chance, look over the different statistics. It's about 20, 25 pages that it talks a lot about deep fakes and some other statistics that are surrounding it. So what are those cybersecurity concerns? Well, they're the normal ones that you're learning now in college. The phishing scams, you can put a picture of, say, oh, send it to grandma and it's of you, but it's really not of you, but it's a deep fake of you. Please send money, right? Those kinds of things. Data breaches. The voice, the audio is really big in the finance industry because, you have, I think somebody needs to mute, please, because I'm hearing myself. Okay. So the audio will, you have a video or audio or somebody on the other line saying, this is, President so-and-so, I need you to do this, this, and this, and authorize this. And you're like, doesn't sound right. Different data breaches, different hoaxes, trying to make somebody mad or hurt somebody's feelings. Pornography, I already talked about the revenge pornography. Reputation smearing, that goes into the different hoaxes. You're trying to, especially I have a teenage daughter, and trust me, I'm like, you never, kids are pretty smart, and teenagers are really smart, right? And so they can use this kind of stuff for reputation smearing. So that makes me a little nervous. Election manipulation, social engineering. That's why Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube have to be all over this to make sure that they can kind of tell, is it deep fake? Is it not? How do we tell? We're going to get into that in a minute. Automated disinformation attacks using audio. Identity theft. You say it's somebody that, it's not who it should be, or financial fraud and blackmail. So typical cybersecurity concerns are, deep fakes fall into the categories of those different concerns as well. So how can you tell? Well, obviously in the picture at the beginning of the presentation, you saw that if you knew how I look like, or you were able to put another picture, you found one on the internet, you'd be like, that one on the left or the right was not her. And that's nice if you have the original, especially when I talk about steg analysis in my forensics classes. You'd like to have that original right beside it, right? You can look at the hex file, you can look at the actual picture, but you have to do some, good investigation to make sure that it's not fake. You can look in the eyes. There's unnatural eye movement in videos. So you can kind of use these tests when you're done this afternoon. You can go and check this out. Unnatural facial expressions. If something's not matching up quite right, you're like, that's just not right. You've all seen it before in movies if the voice doesn't match with the facial expressions and things like that. Any awkward looking facial movement, or the body doesn't look quite right, or just, they're not doing very good with their deep fake. Some unnatural coloring, maybe you're too orange. No, I'm just kidding. Hair and teeth that look really fake, blurring or misalignment. There's inconsistent noise or audio. You have inconsistencies in it. It goes up and down and things like that. You're like, that might not be real. Images that look unnatural when slowed down. It's not the same as shallow fakes. Shallow fakes is you do, put it on the, you slow it down, slow motion. So like when they put that Nancy Pelosi was drunk or something and it was slow motion, it was a shallow fake. That's another area that you can study as well. Hash discrepancies, once again, my forensics part of me is like, yes, hashes, because hashes tell all, right? If you have the original and you have a hash, and you have another one that's a deep fake and it should look exactly the same, they won't, you know, it won't have the same hash. And then you can do reverse image searches for more forensics to figure out, okay, this is really a deep fake. How do you counter it? That's one of the big areas. It's there are different web browser extensions out there that help identify a deep fake. You can go out and you can look and see if the browser you use has what's called a deep fake extension to weed out the content that's not real. There is filtering software. Deep Trace is one that they provide that kind of protection just to filter out the deep fakes. It runs through all these algorithms and does all these different checks and, you know, heuristics and signatures and stuff like that. Social media rules. So something that's not necessarily a technical control, but more of an administrative control, where you have these social media, like you won't put this out there, and if we find it's deep fake, we'll take it down and things like that. And so they're out there. You can read the fine print on the social media rules. Using what's called soft biometrics to detect. You've all heard of biometrics, you know, your fingerprint, your iris, but there's also soft biometrics, your facial expressions, your height, your weight, tattoos. You know, I have a couple tattoos, those kinds of things are what's called soft biometrics. There is a really cool thing that I think, you know, maybe we should look at as a CySER club or a CySER team, is the deepfake detection challenges. So they're out there like bug bounties. Actually, the military, I believe, is backing the one up that's most recent, but do a little bit more research on that if that's something you wanted to do a detection challenge. Different research technologies, watermarks, even blockchain to detect a deep fake. Using corporate best practices, you know, don't just accept a phone call from the CEO, even if you think that's his voice or her voice, you know, double check it. That's not the best practice. That's not what we do, and those kinds of things. And then finally, you have laws and governance, which brings me to my slide on this. This is an area that you'll want to study. Any type of cyber training, any type of cyber that you're going to learn about, you're going to want to learn what are the laws and governance surrounding that. You have the National Defense Authorization Act that President Trump put into play back in 2020. And I'm just going to look at the goals because I wrote them down here. The three main goals of this Authorization Act were to report on foreign weaponization of deepfakes. So you want to report on it, make sure it's out there. Oh, by the way, you could probably have a repository like you do with child pornography, and you could have a repository of deepfake, you know, media, that synthetic media. And so if the hash matches, then you know immediately it's a deepfake and you're done with that. The second part of it is the congressional notification of any deepfake disinformation that targets a U.S. election. And then the third part is that it encourages deepfake detection. So if you get bored, you want to go out and read that National Defense Authorization Act, I recommend you do that. Obviously, the Privacy Act of 1974, it covers everything in cyber. It's what I teach all the time in my cyber classes. You need to understand the Privacy Act. You do have some, you know, things are not supposed to be disclosed on you. It's your private life, right? So check that one out if you get a chance as well, if you haven't already studied it. There's obviously copyright laws and intellectual property, because you're taking stuff off the internet to make deep fakes, or the nefarious individuals are. So you're going to want to know copyright laws, intellectual property. A lot of times what gets thrown out there is the fair use doctrine. I'm using it for fair use, but are you, if you're either selling it or slandering somebody or doing hoaxes, probably need to look into that one as well. The Communications Decency Act of 1996. Yes, I know there's a lot of controversy that it really is goes against the Constitution, although it's supposed to basically rein in some pornography and things like that. So that's part of it, the laws and governance as well. There are state laws in Virginia, Texas, and California right now. There's others, I'm sure, but what I was researching that surrounding election campaigns and, you know, cyberbullying and things like that using deep fakes. There's a Photoshop law out of Israel that says you can't Photoshop in certain situations. Cyber stalking law obviously falls into place. And then there's different state laws that kind of dovetail into the cyber stalking law. And then one of the others is the General Data Protection Regulation out of the European Union that came into effect back in 2018. That is protecting people's privacy once again. So it's similar to the Privacy Act of 1974. But there's some governance and regulations surrounding deepfakes. There's going to be more, I can guarantee it, and there probably is already more. The list is not exhaustive, but it just goes to show that this is a serious matter and something that we need cyber professionals to be able to discern the deep fakes. This is just, is the technology really new? No, it's just getting better and better, you know, with more artificial intelligence and machine learning to help build and develop, you know, images and videos and things like that. You have avatars, and then you have on the right there, it's just the Photoshop of that one picture. So I'm going to leave you with this parting thought: deep fakes and deep thinking. You are, you know, you really want to put some deep thinking into it. You want to study it. If you like this kind of work, if you like the forensics, this is something that, you know, I know the Viceroy program and the Department of Defense is looking for people who want to fight this kind of, you know, cyber crime that happens using deep fakes. And that is all that I have for today. I don't know how long it was supposed to be, but that's all I have. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned like a lot of the market share is currently in political ads, and I guess this would apply as, I don't know. I think tools, generally speaking, are weaponized, are mastered, then weaponized, then used for the benefit. And I guess a good example of that would be the nuclear fission bomb, the nuclear fission bomb, and then the fusion bomb, right? So it was weaponized, the Manhattan Project, mastered, and then now we got nuclear power plants. So just out of curiosity, as a weapon, you think like what are the ramifications for like cyber, well, not cyber operations, but like psychological operations as I don't know, like gray or black propaganda?
Mm-hmm. Very good, and you'll study that too, Noah. Once you get into more cyber, because you learn about information warfare in psyops and military deception and things like that. You could have, you know, president at the time looks like he's hanging from something, or I mean, you could use it to show that we have more planes than we really do, or more this, that, and the other thing. Oh yes, there's a lot of, if I'm understanding your question correctly, it can go from just, you know, Nicolas Cage funny videos all the way to bringing down countries and causing, you know, a massive wars. I think so. It could. Good question. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Deb. My name's Richie. I'm from Columbia Basin College. And one of the things that I was noticing on the list of concerns was how there wasn't anything about the concern for faking biometric scanners, and how important could that be in the future? Because it seems like, you know, that's where we're headed, where those things could start to be faked, and then people are gaining access to a lot of areas where they shouldn't.
Sure, because you could use a deep fake along with the biometric fake, right? Your fingerprint, or getting somebody's fingerprint off a Coke can or something like that. That gets even uglier or scarier too, because you're like, how do you stop it? How do you know? You know, I just watched a video, or I love movies. Oh, it was called, is it Red Carbon? I can't remember. I think it is, with Gal Gadot. She's awesome. What?
I believe Red Notice.
Red Notice, yes, sorry, yeah, and that one, and that they used it in there as well. So I'm like, oh wow, you know, and then you've seen people cut off people's hands to get their fingerprints and things like that, and we just have to try to be smarter. So what's the best way to know your enemy is to know what their tactics, techniques, and procedures are, and try to be 2 steps ahead, right? So good question. Any other questions?
I got something that I could add on to that last question.
Oh, okay, go for it, Noah.
So I did a project. It was a sequential AI model project, and I had to learn just about everything about that. So, and in my research, I got this idea. I was like, what's the it's just playing around with the idea, and turns out that it's already been done. Like there's pre-trained models out there that turn photorealistic, that make photorealistic images out of basically what the input would be Microsoft Paint. And I also found that there's AI models that actually can generate faces from DNA sequencing. For example, if someone were to, I don't know, get an Ancestry.com DNA examination, right? You send in the, you swab your gums or whatever it is that they do with a Q-tip. You send it to the lab and they sequence your DNA, and they could generate a face out of that. And that's their business model. These companies, they're making money hand over fist, but it already exists. If you have DNA sequencing, you can make someone's face. And if you had someone, I don't know, DNA sequences, and it comes down to like what kind of data sets you have. And I don't know, it doesn't take a lot of money to buy the right data set, but once you have that data set, like the possibilities are endless. So absolutely, and just like likewise that you can make like a picture of someone's face using their DNA sequence. You can probably also make an AI model that generates their fingerprint using their face.
And then make a silicone, some sort of finger, glove or something like that has it on there.
Or you could just pry the thing off and then hit the serial or hit the reader, so you don't even have to. Yeah, I mean, it goes back into physical security, but absolutely, Professor, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, you could 3D print a silicon or something like that. I don't know. It tech's pretty. Yeah, you could absolutely.
Any other questions this afternoon? I know the quarter just started for CWU, and the semester started. It must have just started today. When did the semester start?
Good question. The semester actually starts tomorrow. We have taken a couple of snow pass days where students are having trouble getting over the passes, and we've delayed our start until actually Wednesday, not tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've recorded it, right, Bernie? So it'll be posted out there. So students, if some of our students didn't see it.
I think I recorded most of it. I didn't start recording right away, so I apologize for that. But we have the latter part of it. So
that's okay. We can use artificial intelligence to recreate what I said.
And we'll put up your slides as well.
Good. I think that's the most important thing. They can read it and get some of the research documents that are in there. So.